So we are looking at day 9 graphs, how to choose which type of graph to use and when to use it. So there is a line graph. A line graph is used to track changes over short and long periods of time. When smaller changes exist, line graphs are better to use than a bar graph. Line graphs can also be used to compare changes over the same period of time for more than one group. So that's line graphs. A pie chart, which is what we usually think of a circle with broken up, are best used when you're trying to compare parts of a whole. They do not show changes over time. A lot of times you do this with like percentages when you have a survey and like 75% of people chose pizza, 20% chose hamburgers, and 5% chose hot dog or something like that. That would be a pie chart. A bar graph are used when you compare things between different groups. So I'm sure you've seen all these types of graphs. This chapter we're going to focus on different types of line graphs. So just to review here, this is the coordinate plane. These are called quadrants. We rate quadrants with Roman numerals. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. They go counterclockwise. A lot of people don't know the 4 one. It's just a 1 before a V or an I before a V. An ordered pair is written as x comma y. I know you graphed points in middle school at some point. This place right in the middle is 0, 0. That is called the origin. You can see here this has an x by it. This is called the x-axis. And the one that goes vertical, that's where the y is. This is called the y-axis. So when you are graphing a point, you always want to do the x value first. So go left or right, and then you do the y value. You go up or down. So you go left or right first, and then up or down. So let's plot these following points. We have our x-axis going this way, and we have our y-axis going this way. So I'm going to just use this highlighter to highlight. This is the number we go over on the x-axis. This is the number we go up on the y-axis, and then you put the point. So your x value, you go to -2, that would be left 2, and then up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is point A. So this one went left, and then this one went up. Okay, the point 0, 3. Well, for the x value, you're going to stay right at 0, but for the y value, you're going to go down 3. So at 0, and then down 1, 2, 3. This is our point B. Point C, the x value, we're going to go to the right 3, and then you're going to go up 4. That's point C. So this one went right, +3, and then up to +4. Okay, so that is how to plot a point. Hopefully that's kind of a review of maybe what you've done in the past on plotting ordered pairs. So let's look at like a real-life example. Data is often found on the internet or in newspapers and tables, and so how do you interpret that data, or how do you graph that data? So what quadrant would you need to graph this data? If you look at our data, everything is positive numbers. So all these numbers here, these are going to be your x values, and these are going to be your y values. So just kind of going with the same thing I did before, I'm going to highlight these are all the x, these are going to be all my y's. Okay? With that, you'll notice all the numbers are positive, and positive numbers mean you're going to go to the right, and you're going to go up. So we would put that in quadrant 1. So I'll write positive, comma positive. When you have all positive numbers, the x value is positive and the y value is positive, that is in quadrant 1. Which type of graph should be used? So we need to kind of read our labels here. This says average years of experience. So when you're talking about years, or things like that, we're going to use a line graph. Create a graph below to represent the data in the table. Choose appropriate quadrants and scales to best represent the data. So we have all positive numbers. My x values, remember your x values are going to go down here. So if I look at these x numbers, the smallest one is 2 and the biggest one is 12. So I'm going to put my label, average years. And I'm going to start, this first line I'm going to say is just 0. And then from there, I think I'm just going to count by 2s. Because those were going up by 2s, they have plenty of room to go by 2s. I could have gone by 1s, but I didn't count my lines. So, going vertically on our y-axis, this is going to be my y-axis. And so this is your x, this is your y. I only drew this as all quadrant 1 versus the other way the graphs were drawn because everything should fit in this box. On the side, I'm going to put annual sales. This time my numbers go from 24 to 36.5. Well, the difference, if I subtract 36.5 minus 24, that's 12 and a half. So, let's see how many lines I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, I can't just go by ones because I need 12 and a half lines. So, I need to go by something bigger. Maybe we can go by 2s again. So if we start at 24, I'm going to put a break in this graph to show that I'm going to jump from 0 to 24 here, and then I'm going to go by 2s. So 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. You'll notice on here, I did not write down the numbers that are exactly in the table here. I just had to come up with a scale. These numbers here are called the scales. This number here is called the label. And then you're going to also get a point for actually plotting the points. You get a point for your scales, a point for the labels, and then points for graphing the points. So the first one I have is 224. Well, that one's nice. It falls on exactly on a line. For 26.5, though, well, this is 26, so 0.5 is going to be a little bit above that, because halfway between would be 27. 6, 29, so that's halfway between those two. And then we have 8, 31.5. We have 10, 34. And then 12 is at 36.5. Okay, so that is my data. I graphed the points, I drew a line. How about you guys try the next one and pause the video, see if you can come up with what you should do on this one. Alright, noticing all my numbers are positive, if all the numbers are positive, the quadrant it's going to graph in is quadrant 1. Which type of graph would you use? Notice the labels again. We have time versus height. So since we're dealing with time, we're going to use a line graph. In my picture, I'm going to highlight this here is going to be my x-axis, which is going to be your time. This one, the bottom row, is going to be your y-axis. And we're going to say that's height. So we're seeing how much something grows over a certain amount of time. So if you look at your numbers for time, it goes from 5 to 20. Well, I don't have 20 lines here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I can go by 2s and this would fit. If I start at 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. Okay, my smallest number is 2 and my biggest number is 8. Well, I definitely have 8 lines here, so I'm just going to go by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I now have labels on the sides. I have scales on the sides. Always on your scales, you want them evenly spaced apart, like 2, 4, 6, or 1, 2, 3. But your scale for your x-axis does not have to be the same scale for your y-axis. Okay, so now we're going to plot these points. After 5 minutes, the height, it says this is the height of a candle. At 5 minutes, that's between 4 and 6, it was 8 inches, or whatever, yeah, 8 inches. At 10 minutes, after it's been burning, it's burned down to 6 inches. After 15 minutes, now it's down to 4 inches. And after 20 minutes, it's only 2 inches tall. See if that makes sense. At 5 minutes, it was 8 inches high. At 10 minutes, it's 6 inches high. Oh, I think here's the problem. I put it on the wrong line. Did not look like that one was not in the line, so I knew I made a mistake. I dropped it on the 4 line instead of the 3 line instead of the 4. So, if you look at this, as you burn a candle, what's happening to the wax? The height of the candle is getting smaller and smaller because your candle's burning up, it's shrinking, okay? So this is what we are doing in this chapter. Right now, we're just figuring out how to make a table, which I think you guys are taking a table and graphing points. You're doing that in science as well. So the top bar of your table is going to go on your x-axis. The bottom bar is going to go on your y-axis. If they are always positive, they go in quadrant 1, and you just pick what you want to go by on the sides, and then draw your picture. And we are doing line graphs.